Welcome to episode 6 of the Service Design podcast. I'm David Morgan from Night Moves, and together with Stina van Hoof and in collaboration with the Service Design Network, we have conversations about service design with practitioners from around the globe. This is the 4th episode in the series in which we talk to the winners of the Service Design Awards. Today we're speaking with Sophie Andersson, strategic designer at Transformator Design, and Caroline Enevold from the Swedish Governmental Employment Agency. Their collaboration won the award for systemic and cultural change in the public sector. Hi, Sophie, Caroline. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you very much.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Getting used to working again after Christmas holidays.
Yeah. Do you have a long holiday?
Not this year, actually. Wasn't that many red days in our calendar, but a few days. A few days. And some influenza on top of that. So I've been away for a while. Yeah. Me too.
All right. So we're speaking to you today because you were one of the winners of the Service Design Award. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, but before we get into that, I'd like to ask you if you could please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Should I go first?
Yeah, sure.
I'm Sophie Andersson. I'm a senior service designer and a strategic designer at an agency called Transformator Design in Stockholm, Sweden.
And my name is Caroline Enevold. I am head of the customer-driven development at the Public Employment Service in Sweden.
Okay, nice. I think it's really great that we can do an interview with both of you together.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have been useful otherwise, because it's really been a collaboration, so you would have only gotten half the story.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great.
I think that's a good sign of a service design project when you consider yourselves part of the same team.
Yeah,
definitely.
Could you also tell us a bit about the project you have done together?
okay, I can start with that. The Public Employment Service in Sweden, we have very low from our customers, and that's a really big problem for us, our customers, and that is both companies seeking new employees and job seekers. They feel that we don't meet their expectations and that we don't deliver a good service that meets their needs. So that's the base for our collaboration. And what we did in 2013 was to start working with Transformator Design and to do some customer journeys. That was the start of our work together.
What were the major learnings at the start of that project from those customer journeys?
It was to try to find out why our customers aren't happy with us and why they don't really trust us and why we don't fulfill their needs and expectations. So to learn more about our customers' experiences from us.
And I think in a way it was also a way of kind of getting to know us as an agency and just getting to know the methodology of service design.
Definitely.
Because first it was just like start-off project, quite shallow, and then we went on doing customer journeys, and then we went on doing service maps and blueprints, and also talking to the employees, kind of understanding the strategic thresholds and internal thresholds that held you back from meeting the customer needs as well.
Yeah.
So those initial projects, they were really important to just sequentially building up the collaboration. So that was before we did the project that we actually won the award for. Yeah.
So it actually really naturally evolved into this project that you actually won the awards for.
Yeah, I would say, because I mean, just doing normal, so to say, service design projects, we helped, as Caroline mentioned, we helped mapping out, okay, what are the pain points, what are the gain points, what would be the possible solutions to meeting the needs and demolishing the pain points here. So then we had all these solutions that were designed by service designers. They were designed by co-developing with both employees and customers. But at the end of the day, they hadn't been adjusted to reality. So instead of just headquarters at Arbetsförmedlingen saying, like, here, go implement this, just do this to the entire organization, it was more like saying, look, here we got these suggestions, now help us refining them and doing the final iterations together, and make them work for you and make them work for your everyday life out in the offices.
Yeah, great.
This was a totally new thinking to us.
Was this the first service design project you did, Caroline?
Yes, definitely. I hadn't even heard of it before.
Yes, nice. Before we dive into the project, could you both also introduce our listeners to what the project you won the award for is actually about? What are those greenhouses that we are hearing a lot in the project description?
Yeah, for starters, the greenhouse concept didn't exist before we started, so building up this concept was part of... We both developed the greenhouse concept at the same time. We also developed 2 solutions for our customers, so we did that at the same time, and using the same method, the service design method.
So there was another concept next to the greenhouse concept that you developed? No. Okay.
More like there was not a fixed recipe. So we serviced designed the structure of the greenhouses while doing it. So on a meta level, we iterated the setup and the structure as well as iterating the actual solutions with the employees. So that happened like in parallel. It wasn't like a plug and play setup. It was really, we searched and we adjusted as we went along.
Yeah. Can you explain what a greenhouse is?
I'll try. A greenhouse is an environment for customer-driven development where the co-workers who are actually the ones meeting the customers are doing the interviews with customers, and we work together from the headquarters with these co-workers, and together we find solutions that we try and develop further. So it's really co-creation with both co-workers and customers.
Yeah, so it's a way of, in the final iterations for solutions, expanding the service design department to include the actual people, as Caroline said, that are the frontline staff. So they get to do the final consequence analysis. They get to do the final iterations and the final adjustments of each solutions to make it work also for the inside, to make sure that it's a good solution both for the customer and for the employee.
Yeah. And in what way are you then still involved as a design agency, Sophie?
Well, quite little nowadays. I mean, as Caroline mentioned, it was her first service design project that we did together, but now she's head of a service design department or a business development department that are customer-driven within Arbetsförmedlingen. So it has really been a capacity-building project as well, where we kind of, were speaking partner in how could this work and how should this work and what are our experiences from other organizations. So now, I mean, it has been capacity building, and now they are quite competent and quite brave and quite experienced and quite brilliant in handling this a lot of their own. So it's more like I come in just here and there and now and then and just give some coaching maybe on methodology or taking it to the next level, because they've grown into being an internal consultant agency more or less within this public agency. So then they start meeting challenges that are similar to ours as a consultant agency. So then my coaching has gone once again more to a meta level, in saying, okay, how can we work more with implementation? How can we work more with stakeholder management? How can we become more of coaches or facilitators for the department within the agency that are hiring us, rather than just delivering beautiful visions that then are never implemented and doesn't reach the end user in the end.
Yeah, that's really fantastic and a very sustainable approach.
Hopefully.
To learn a man to fish story.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a bit about the way you trained or coached these people into becoming service designers themselves?
Well, I mean, it happens continuously. So in the beginning, what we did is that we went on a tour for these 7 offices that were greenhouses in the first batch. In the first batch, where we also kind of iterated and make the basic design for what a greenhouse should and could be. And then Caroline and her colleague, they went with us on this tour. And they heard us and they saw us and they took part of what we did over and over again. They could ask questions. They could really get a gut feeling for what we did and how. So in the beginning, we kind of fronted this project and kind of held the tutorings and when we allowed for staff to immerse with a service design methodology and mindset. And then step by step, we kind of took a step back and they become the one who were the front faces or the people who were in charge. And we were just, coaching them backstage more and more.
And yet I'd like to add that we don't claim to be service designers. We can do some things that a service designer can do, but we've also recently a new service designer of our own, which feels really good because we need to build more of competence around the service design methods.
So
what kind of profiles did you add to the organization to set up the service design department, or I don't remember how you called it?
Well, we're a small department. We're only about 12 people today, and most of us come from within Arbetsförmedlingen. So most of us have a deep understanding of the job we do, but we also need people from the outside to widen our horizon. And when it comes to the service designer, we needed someone to visualize and draw things. We use pictures a lot, and that is not something that ordinary people in Arbetsförmedlingen do. So that's a competence that we really needed.
Yeah.
Have you found that the approach in this project is also getting noticed by other government agencies?
Oh, yes.
Are they starting to do service design projects?
Yes, very, very much so, I would say. Many other authorities and such visits us and wants to know more about how we work, and we hope that we can inspire more and more people to do the same.
And I could just mention that the inspiration for the greenhouses was also a way of working that we had been part of at Systembolaget, which is a governmental monopoly for selling alcohol in Sweden. And they had a kind of pilot upscaling methodology that they called Aquarius. But at Arbetsförmedlingen, they really wanted their own lingo, their own take on it, and that's why it was called greenhouses there. But it has some kind of the same connotations, like, okay, it should be transparent, things and ideas and people should be able to grow in there, and so on and so on. But I mean, Sweden has come quite far when it comes to service design and adopting the customer-driven mindset within the governmental agencies.
Yes. I read in the project description that it was really important for you to both find a common language to understand each other. But I'm actually really interested how you managed to create this common language. Could you give us some insights in how you did that?
Well, by hanging out a lot. No, but I mean, as I said, like, I think this tour that we did, that was actually quite crucial. It was like a hardcore team building activity. We were exhausted, but we talked a lot, we analyzed a lot. we just, I mean, there was a lot of friction, and friction is good because that makes you come further. And just by talking and discussing, and I know, Caroline, you mentioned sometime that, this thing, now I get it. And it was like maybe the fourth time you'd heard the presentation or something. So the matter of repetition was a crucial part as well. So I think we as service designers, we were quite blessed or excused because we could just go on with our silly design lingo, and you were like, I mean, you wanted to understand everything, and now you decide, okay, which of the terms are we going to use or not. But in the beginning, it felt like it was quite useful that it was new words because they added new dimension to how the organization had been working before.
Yes, and I think that as time went by, we were more not so much consultant and customer. We've been more colleagues, which also makes it easier, I think, to find a common language.
And
yes,
to question
to be honest,
each other's terms.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good remark that you start to, if you really become colleagues, you communicate in a really different way.
Yeah.
And you really try to understand each other even better than in the client consultancy relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. But within, I mean, the brilliance of the greenhouse metaphor, there lies so many other associations you could make. As I mentioned, ideas should grow. You should plant something. It should be a safe environment. You should be protected. There should be a gardener. Sometimes you have to add water. Sometimes you have to add nutrition, and so on and so on.
And sometimes you have to cut.
Sometimes you have to cut. So just within that mental metaphor, we could build a new lingo that is not our classical consultancy agency lingo, and it's not the classical governmental agency lingo. So that was really
Liberating.
Yeah, that was really liberating.
Yeah.
And I think also that within Arbetsförmedlingen, we have been allowed in this project to be apart from the mainstream. So we've been allowed to grow and cultivate our solutions more than is usual within a governmental organization.
Yeah, I can imagine that's not really easy because you're already inside a certain structure of that organization.
Yes.
And then, so it's great that you got the freedom to be a little bit different and to develop these kind of concepts.
Yeah.
But I must add, you were both allowed, but you were also brave enough. Because there weren't always a decision saying this is okay, do this and that, but you just did it.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit crazy. But sometimes that's the recipe.
Yeah, that's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were some of the big changes that needed to be made within the organization for you to be able to work in the way you're working now?
I would say that how we see our customers is the basic thing that we needed to change, and that still needs to change, but we're on our way at least. I think that most of our employees within Arbetsförmedlingen, we care about and want our customers to be satisfied with what they get from us, but we still have quite an internal way of looking at things. So to actually understand the customer's experience, that I think is the most important thing. And we've also, since we started, we have
Internal capacity building or training.
Yes, that we give to all employees who want it. So with about half of our 14,000 strong organization has gone through this education or whatever.
But if I could also add just two aspects, I think two important things that were changed was that you dared to kind of flip the hierarchy in a way. So instead of headquarters always coming with the solutions, suddenly it was okay for headquarters to saying, look, we don't know, and we're actually going to put you in charge of the business development and the service development, you who are the frontline staff, you who actually are the best experts on what we do. and also kind of breaking a history of, that it was okay to say we don't know and we don't have the answer, because you kind of also had a history where everything had to be finished and it had to be perfect, and it had to be, you always defended your ideas. That was kind of the heritage you had, the culture you had before. So just breaking that into making people dare say, this is just an idea, we're going to try it out, and we don't know, and the customer didn't like it, or we made a mistake, but we learned from it. So there were also like important cultural changes that were made that are crucial for this to happen, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think we recognize that very strongly in projects we've done as well with the Flemish government. One of the big things that we see is the one-way communication flowing down from the top, while the people who are in direct contact with customers, in the end they often don't feel like they are heard, or they aren't really heard. So how do you go about turning that around? That's a huge pyramid to turn upside down.
I think that our general director has been very important to us in this, because it's about allowing the co-workers, the first line staff, to come with ideas and have the opportunity to influence the development. And at the same time, I think if you look back to where we started this, most of our employees felt that nobody listened to them. It didn't matter if they said something was wrong or didn't work. So it's a very big cultural change that has to come both top down and from the bottom and up at the same time. And I think that we have been able to, in this little group that I work with, we have been able to be a bridge between the headquarters and the front line, which has been very good for, at least for the internal
Trust.
Yes, trust.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like you just turned on all channels saying, okay, now everyone can come with ideas and everyone are service designers.
No.
It's really a structured methodology. It's not like all offices are greenhouses at the same time. It's very structured batches that are trained, and then you help them and you moderate them through the process. You help do analysis and find, okay, what are the bottom line things that are common here? Because one of the things is you always make sure to have offices that have different geographical preconditions and different internal preconditions.
Yes.
So you have a representative urval selection of offices, but it's not all offices. It's offices enough so that you can handle the information being processed, and you refine it and you aggregate it, and then you package it. So I mean, they help, but it's not everyone at the same time, because that's thousands of employees.
Yes.
So it's not like one big black hole where everyone can just communicate what they think all of a sudden, but it's more of a structural way that step by step, all of the offices within the agency will have been a greenhouse at some point, but it's only a very small amount at each time, each batch, with each new problem within the customer journey. So it's still service design projects that helps prioritize or limit, okay, what are we working with now? This is something that we know is a problem with the customers. Then we kind of hand out that problem, and then these certain amount of offices are allowed to iterate and ideate on that specific problem, and then we aggregate, and then we go into the next loop, and so on and so on. So without this department that Caroline is now head of, I guess it would have been mayhem, or it could have been at least. But they tie it all together, and they are like the quality assurance within the process. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Does it then mean that co-workers in the greenhouses, they provide insights, or they detect problems, or do they also already come with solutions?
We try not to go to the solutions from the beginning. We start with the customer. So in the greenhouses, we always start with customer interviews, so that we don't come up with our own ideas.
Like jump to conclusions, step. Or yeah.
So the solutions must have a base in the customer insights.
Yeah.
I think there's probably thousands of government agencies around the world who want to become more customer-centric. You've taken big steps in turning that around. What were the biggest hurdles that you've run into that you would like to pre-warn other government agencies
for?
Well,
I think that you have to be, as Sophie said before, you have to be brave and you have to dare. You must accept that sometimes you fail, and a failure isn't really a failure, it's just a way to go to the next step. And that was very difficult for us because in our culture, in Arbetsförmedlingen, you weren't really allowed to make any mistakes. So in the beginning, in the first greenhouses, the co-workers, the first-line co-workers didn't really say much to us from the headquarters. They were quite afraid of talking openly, and that was really a problem in the beginning. So it's very important to build trust. That I think was one of the major objectives that we had to deal with. Also, you have to get the management in the whole organization to embrace the ideas, because without the management and the managers, then if they are not on board, the co-workers won't get the right
preconditions?
Yes, the right preconditions to work like this. So
everyone... both concerning preconditions, but it's also a matter of kind of practicing what you preach.
Yes.
So if headquarters or management does no changes on their own, then it can still feel like, oh yeah, we have the same preconditions, but you just leave us in charge of solving the entire situation.
Yeah.
So it's important to also show both the cultural change in headquarters, saying, as we mentioned before, we don't have the answer, or even, oh, we made a mistake, and so on, but also in showing some effort. For instance, actually looking through the governance and the measurements. Are these constructive measurements? Are they actually helping you to deliver a brilliant customer experience, or are they holding you back? Are we measuring the correct things here? Are we rewarding a behavior that is actually leading to a better customer experience in the end, or not? And then if management can say, look, we found this thing that we've done wrong and we changed it, and now please help us on your part as well.
So it's been very important to show that we, working at the headquarters, that we can show that, okay, we can make mistakes as well, and look, now we did this wrong, but that's okay. So you have to show them that both that you live as the same thing as you learn, that you teach.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah. That's the word. That's
and to admit, once again, that there might be structural obstacles that management are then willing to adjust. So not just saying, look, this is all about your behavior, just be nicer and then the customer will be happy. No, it has to be work on both sides within the organization.
Yeah. I can imagine some managers feel threatened by the idea of becoming more customer-centric and less hierarchical. Is that something you've had to deal with? Can you tell something about how you deal with that?
That was certainly the case. For us, I think we had our top management on board. Otherwise, we couldn't have done this, I think. But then the greenhouses spread like wildfire. So we had a bottom-up interest, and it's very hard to stop something for a manager, middle management, if it's so well
anchored.
If it's so well anchored, which it became all by itself. I'd say we had on our internal website, we had a blog so that co-workers everywhere in the organization could follow the development in the greenhouses. So we've tried to be as transparent as we could.
And it was also frontline staff writing in this blog.
Yes,
so that was not like a polished version of it. It was quite transparent.
So many people in the organization has been very interested. And I think the bigger it gets, the harder it is to stop for someone who doesn't improve.
But I could just share one experience. It was a local middle manager when we were out on the tour, and we were talking about the customer insights. And I mean, we were focusing on what worked badly. So it was quite harsh to listen to all of these things if you were a middle manager who had devoted your work to work at Arbetsförmedlingen and so on. And there was actually a woman who started crying when we presented these insights. She was so kränkt. I mean, she was devastated.
Yes.
She felt,
I think she felt ashamed.
She felt ashamed. She didn't agree at all. She couldn't understand how this could be from her. She felt that we were just lying and we were just giving her shit, more or less, to be frank. But one important thing, whenever we presented these insights, we also always presented the insights of the employee.
Yes.
So, okay, what have we learned when we have listened to you guys as well? How do you feel about your preconditions? What's your everyday work like? What's your situation? And then we also connected it to a hands-on experience. So it was not only getting the insights, but it was also making an actual exercise in going out and doing a customer journey mapping and so on. So they would also get the hands-on experience of understanding what this methodology actually gives and how it could help you prevent you from becoming like home blind, more or less. But at the end of the day, not everyone will be willing to join. Some people are so they are so determined in what they already know and what is the truth, and they know everything about the customer. So everyone will not be part of the change journey.
No. But also you have to realize that when we presented the insights in the beginning, as Sophie said, it was very important to point out that this is not about stupid co-workers. It's about structural problems mostly. That's why we do what we do. It's not that everyone does a bad job. So that has also been very important to point out, because otherwise you feel like you're doing everything wrong when you meet the customer.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that you say that sometimes it is really hard to explain what customers think, because it can be quite confronting and people can take it quite personally, or at least that's also something I experience. And we're also really, really careful about that, like not to make people maybe angry or that they don't believe the insights. It's something, I also sometimes struggle with, like, how to bring across the right story, but also to get, like, trusting what the customer was saying. And sometimes we do it with, also showing the positive insights we gathered, and use it as a fun movie of street interviews we did, where there are both, like, really good insights, but also the quite critical ones next to them. But then still, I really recognize what you're saying there, that it can be tough in a design process.
The tricky part is when you're talking to a group, because the majority of this same group with the women who started crying, they went, finally, at least someone is saying it black and white, just as it is. This is what we've been trying to say for years.
Yes.
So in a way, in retrospect, was it strategically correct or not to be that frank? Well, actually, maybe it was. It was painful along the way, and we should always try to see and take care of everyone along the journey. But maybe it had to be that frank at that point of time to also get something to start happening.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the customer's voice.
It's, and who doesn't want satisfied customers? Of course, we all want that.
Yeah, but that's something I also find we always take for granted, that a goal of an organization is to create better customer experiences. But often we realize that even this is something we have to fight for and convince them that this is really a goal of an organization. And this is really something you have to go for, and you have to measure and then see how you're doing and improve it.
And even who is the customer? Like for us in a government agency, we automatically think, it's the civilians or the companies, they are the customers. But we have found that that's not that clear for the government agencies themselves. Sometimes they think it's the minister is the customer. Or how have you experienced the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. But I would also say that now I could joke and say that everyone is a customer. We use the same method internally as well. So you could view the frontline staff working at the headquarters, for example, because we need to support the frontline staff. So in a way, they're our customers. Yeah. So it's about
more of like a mindset, or an approach rather than a methodology.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of discussions with different clients, like who is the customer and who is our goal, like who are we focusing on and who are the ones who are helping us with that? Is it then a customer or that is a discussion we have, I think, almost in every year. And that's also the thing about the common language, like talking about customers can be really, you can often see that you're talking about different things while you're both talking about delivering better services to customers, but it can be really different people that everyone is thinking about at that moment.
But I mean, Arbetsförmedlingen is a bit unique because you have so much local presence, you have so much end user contact.
Yes.
So actually it's full of staff who are really passionate about giving a great customer experience and actually helping the citizens, and so that was in a luxurious way never really an issue at Arbetsförmedlingen. Some people, from my point of view, more at like the management level, they thought maybe customer experience is not the goal, or the trust of the public is not the goal. It's more of like efficiency is the goal. But then at the end of the day, what is efficiency? Because if you don't have a trust amongst the public, what gives you the right to exist as a government agency? And are you really efficient if you're not delivering what the end user needs? So
it's also, we work with government a lot, and another goal which is often there is digitalizing, which is, of course, has a lot of advantages, but is it a goal in itself, or is it? Yes, exactly. Okay, great.
So the project originally started because the trust was low with the civilians. Are you able to measure the difference you've made with this project?
Yes, actually we can do that. Or maybe not just connected to this project. Arbetsförmedlingen is changing a lot of things. But there are several...
like measurements or different scores? Or
Yes, and for example... one
of these surveys that are done each year and nationwide.
And they look at different governmental organizations. And we've gone from minus 32, which is, it's so far down, so you can't be that far down. But we've actually climbed 10 steps, so we're now on minus 22, which still is really, really bad. But for us, it's very important to see the progress and to keep going. So eventually, I'm sure we will first reach 0 and then up on the plus side.
Yeah, so the scale is from minus 50 to plus 50 in this survey, and I think it's also important to say that you really broke a negative trend.
Yes.
The curve was really going down, so not only have you become better, but you also really broke that trend, and now you start heading up.
Yeah. In 2013, we said we can't go any lower. We were then at minus 27. In 2014, we reached minus 32, but after that, we have broken the trend.
And what is the curve actually? Is it about trust, or what are you measuring?
Trust in yes.
Yeah.
So they make a list of all the governmental agencies in Sweden, like who has the most and the least trust, and then a scale in between. So Arbetsförmedlingen was and is at the bottom.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. But rising strongly.
Yeah.
Watch out.
What are other successes this project has had? Are employees, for example, more satisfied at the
yes,
moment?
I would say they are, and the employees think that this method is very good and they want to use it even in their local development, so that's very good. But we can also see examples of a better working environment. When you feel that you are allowed to take part in the development, you feel better and you're more proud to work in Arbetsförmedlingen. And
it also has to do with the individual solutions, not only the methodology. Like for instance, we made, in the first batch we did a solution that was about being able to book time then.
For your first appointment.
For your first appointment at Arbetsförmedlingen. And when you had to work in that kind of drop-in area, before we implemented this, there was quotes saying like, this is God's punishment to mankind having to work in the drop-in area.
Yeah.
That was the feeling amongst the staff. Like when the manager were gonna like hand out the tasks for the day or for the week, people would actually like go to the toilet or hide because they didn't want to work there. It was so stressful. The psychosocial environment of working there was like horrible. But after this, when you actually, now you can book an appointment, so you can be prepared. You know that you have 1 hour. You know that that hour will be about not only typing in facts in the computer, doing like the administration, but it will be about that person and about that person's needs and being able to actually make a plan on how to help that person. People are actually enjoying working there.
Yes, and we also had a co-worker who said that this is now a stress-free area, which was a wonder to hear, actually.
So the methodology in itself has made it the employees happier because, as mentioned before, it breaks down hierarchy, it makes it okay to make mistakes and so on. But also the isolated solutions, step by step, are improving not only the customer experience, but also the employee experience. That's super crucial for each solution that we implement.
So now you won a service design award for this project. What do you think were the important factors in the service design network deciding for your project?
Well, I think and I hope that it was, as you said, kind of the sustainable aspect of the solution. It has genuinely been a capacity building project. Both competence within service design, but also the structure and the setup of how that could work within the organization with this department now that Caroline is in charge of. I hope, but actually we didn't really get like motivation. Just like, you won, and then they read our pitch like that we sent in. So we don't really know. We're quite curious.
But maybe it's also about, we work both with customer insights and co-development. Not one of those things, but both. And I think that's also something that's very interesting. Many other agencies in Sweden, they have chosen to work with customer insights, but then they tend to lose it in their development.
They initiate projects based on customer insights, but they don't involve the customer throughout the development process.
You really found a way to use customer insights as a lifelong learning in the organization to keep on improving services. Okay, what does winning this award mean to you?
Well, I'm still in shock, I think. You can imagine when you work in an agency with such low trust, winning this award is fantastic. It's a real boost to our confidence, I think, both individually and as an organization. So that's, for us, it's incredible. And I think maybe we start believing in ourselves a little bit more, which is good because then we can do better things in the future.
I think internally at Arbetsförmedlingen there's been quite a buzz around this prize. So I think you've gained even more like mandate or status in a way and trust. And for us as a consultancy agency, it's just been great to have an acknowledgement for hard work that's been done, and also for what we think is a really great phase of our collaboration that we really think took it to the next level and created leverage. And also just the title, which was like structural and cultural change within the public sector. That's like the most beautiful title ever. That's really what we want to achieve. So that helps us kind of putting a label on the things that we do and are capable of doing, and gives us confidence in keep on doing that, trying to achieve that. And maybe gives a bit of an indicator of where what service design is becoming and what it is.
And what other benefits may winning this award have? Will the award be able to help you in any way as a government agency or as a service design agency?
As a government agency, I think definitely. I think it gives us more mandate to keep doing what we already do. Otherwise it's easy after a few years that what was once a new and interesting thing, well, it just wilts and dies. So I think for us, we've been put on the map, and we want to stay there.
Yeah, it's kind of like rebooting the energy in a way. And as a consultancy, it's when you think you do something great, you kind of want to tell the world, but at the same time, it doesn't feel so humble. So, and also you're not sure, because you can't keep an eye on what's happening in all the countries in the world within service design. So just getting, once again, an acknowledgement like this helps us, I think, feel proud and get more confidence within the areas that we work in and want to work in as well.
Yeah, fantastic. It's really good to hear. I think a very well-deserved winner, and I think it's really positive that the award can actually help you guys get further in what you're doing. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. I think it's been really interesting hearing all about this project.
Sorry for the English. Or the
could have gone on. No. You're being too modest, because your English is really, really good. If people want to find out more about this project or about your consultancy and agencies, where can people look for you online?
Transformator have a homepage. I hope it's in English now, but it's transformatordesign.se, and there should be a little English flag up in the corner if you want to read more about that there. We also have a recorded breakfast seminar that I don't remember where we put it. Yeah.
And Arbetsförmedlingen is also easy to find. Arbetsförmedlingen.se.
Do you have a public blog? Do you have like the blog of the greenhouses? Is that public, or is it just...
No, it's not. But you can always search for the Public Employment Service in Sweden, and you will probably be directed to us.
And just throw us an email if you want to continue the dialogue. My email address is Sophie, Sophie.Andersson@transformatordesign.se.
Yeah, all right. We'll include the links to your agencies in the page of this podcast, so people will be able to find them.
Yeah, thank you for the interesting conversation.
Much. Take care.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye.
The Service Design Podcast was brought to you by the Service Design Network and Night Moves. For more information, previous episodes, or to join the conversation, please visit servicedesignpodcast.com. For more information about the Service Design Network, visit service-design-network.org, and for Night Moves, visit nightmoves.be. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to this podcast. The intro and outro music is from If the Stars Grow Dim Tonight by Hydrogen Sea featuring I Will, I Swear. Until next time.